Hello, I'm Stefan from Soul Grinder, and you're listening to Deathblow Podcast.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Deathblow Podcast. Subscribe, like and share and click on the bell to receive more news about my channel. Spotify and Apple Podcast to listen to the audio version of every episode, and Instagram, Facebook and TikTok with more videos and contents. Today I present you a new band from Germany, Soul Grinder. Their death metal sound is really awesome and their new album is very good. But right now, I will leave you with the rest of the interview.
Hello.
Hello, my name is Darkel. I present myself. I am the owner of Deathblow Podcast and I manage this podcast since 2021. So welcome to be here today on this special episode.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm Stefan, by the way.
Nice to meet you, Stefan, and welcome again. So, I was very impressed about your band, to be honest. I had the pleasure to listen to your new album, and I really have to say that it's very death metal, but even I have to say that it is very surprising, to be honest. I want to start now with the first question is, how did you start your musical path with your band and why the name Soul Grinder?
Oh, so I could talk about my musical journey, but I just permanently joined the band like 2 years ago. I was filling in before for someone else. So I wasn't there from the start, but like Soul Grinder were founded in 2018, I think, somewhere around that. But like I've known Mate, the drummer, for quite some time. It's the guy who is also playing in Asenblut. And we met in Göttingen, which is the city we're both coming from. And so when we were both in the same scene, but he was a bit older than me. He already had his band Asenblut, and so the first metal show I ever saw was him playing with Asenblut, playing drums with them. And I started writing riffs and songs starting at age 9 or 10, somewhere around that. And as soon as I got into the local metal scene, I met him and showed him some of my material. And sometimes when I went to a bar, if it was possible for me, because I was very young, like 12, 13 or something, we were talking, hanging out for a bit. We even tried to start a band together back then, which was called Godgrave. But like in the end, that didn't work out because, I don't know, just he had his priorities, and I was like, as I said, like 13, and he was like already 20 or 21 or something. But we always kept in touch, and he was producing my other band, Stoned God, in 2020. He also played drums there. And in somewhere around 2022 or something, they were looking for a fill-in guitarist for some shows because their now former guitarist didn't have time, and I was filling in, and it worked out perfectly for both sides, I think. And after like playing, I don't know, like 10 or 12 shows, the guys asked me to join permanently. So, and I was already a bit like expecting it, so I was very excited to join, actually, because I've known Mate for so long, and I always want to play like this type of music, like this classic blast beat driven death metal. And it was always like a kind of childhood dream for me to do stuff like Vader or Behemoth. And so the opportunity came along, and I joined then. So I can't really tell too much about how they found each other because I don't know too much about that. They are both living in Bremen now, and they've known each other, I think, from some shows they did in the past with the former band of our singer Matthias. He was playing in a black metal band called Cthulhu, and somewhere there was the connection. And yeah, this is the album that is released right now. Frozen Halls is the first album with me playing guitars and also writing 2 or 3 songs. Yeah. So, but I'm also very, very satisfied with the result.
Yeah, and about this new record that is entitled Frozen Halls, what can you tell me about?
Okay, so Frozen Halls is a reference to the story of I think it's called At the Mountains of Madness by H.P. Lovecraft. I'm not writing the lyrics, or not writing most of the lyrics. That's Matthias' thing, but we all are a bit into like H.P. Lovecraft-ish stuff. And Frozen Halls is a reference to the caves below the Arctic ice, where the explorers in the stories find alien life, which turns out to be still alive and not dead, and it kills all the scientists. And it's like another part in the Cthulhu Elder Ones myth from H.P. Lovecraft, and it's just a great fucking title. So and it fits very well with the whole more ethereal vibes in times and of this record, because we have a bit more atmospheric parts now than we had before, and the whole Lovecraft theme is like a red line through the whole album, more or less, with some exceptions, with the occasional horror story and some other horror themes. Yeah, but it's a common theme, and it was also before, and why not call an album after a Lovecraft story? Can't do wrong with that.
And many bands use this theme of H.P. Lovecraft. Why, in your opinion, is very important this writer?
I mean, because I think the metalheads are like generally like driven to the mythical occult themes of and any story that fits into this whole subject is always welcome. But like, I think H.P. Lovecraft just hits different compared to modern horror stories, and it's also very I wouldn't say easy to write about it, but there's such a big universe of creatures and stories that are all fitting into this whole universe, as I said, of H.P. Lovecraft. And so you can start with the more like basic subjects, like as Cthulhu, but then you end up like somewhere very obscure that like some people won't even have heard of. And and it's also a good way to be creative, because like the mythical horrors of H.P. Lovecraft, can take place in any space or time, because like you could write a story about the Elder Ones or some occurrences in like 1750 or whatever, and you could also write about like the Elder Ones in a sci-fi theme, like in like 3,000 years from now, because it also is part of the whole universe. And I think that is one part which makes it so attractive to write about. And also because like the way he writes about horror is so it's just different compared to modern horror stories, because it lives not as much from like this shock factor, but like the whole creepiness and subtleness of like these beings actually being all around us in all places. So yeah, I think that's the reason.
About now the influences for this album, I have to say that this sound is really brutal and typical of death metal. What can you say more about the influences during the writing process?
Okay, so I can't really directly speak for the whole writing process, because although I'm always involved in like deciding which part comes next, or like saying something about something Mate has written, he's doing most of the songwriting now. But I think when it comes to songwriting, our influences are kind of similar. I think we both like, or we all, also Matthias, we all like Beta, Decapitated, all the old school stuff, like, I don't know, Asphyx, Behemoth, of course. Yeah, we're very drawn to the more blast beaty side of things, but also like groovy. And I think we each of us brings something, his own influences to the band. I mean, Matthias comes from a black metal background. He was playing purely black metal for I think like 15 or even 20 years, I don't know. And yeah, Mate and me are both like more of the blast beat death metal guys. So, but yeah, I think that's where the most of the inspiration comes from. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to say Behemoth because of the keyboard, and
Yeah.
that is the main thing that popped up in my mind when I listened some tracks. I think these guys really had the Behemoth in mind because of that epic keyboard tracks.
Yeah, but as we're talking about also like hypocrisy, like the more like atmospheric driven hypocrisy tracks also are like a huge influence, I think. And in general, like I always loved when also the old school death metal bands like Entombed or like Dismember were using synths in their all-their albums. Like for example, for me personally, like I'm not listening to too much old school death metal these days, especially not like the Swedish scene, but like that was my gateway to death metal. And like the first song I really liked was like In Death's Sleep by Dismember, and it has like this insanely very dull one key keyboard line on the intro somewhere, and that every time like these it comes in somewhere, like I'm always you can't really do wrong with it, and it always adds to the atmosphere of like this already so brutal and primal, but also mythical music. Yeah.
What can you tell me about the album cover?
I'm really ashamed of myself. I have to think of the name of the guy. I think it's Paolo Girardi is his name. Yeah. Matthias came up with the idea of asking him because we were discussing like what type of cover we want, and I was like, yeah, man, let's get something in the vein of like all the great old school artworks, and we were like trading ideas of whom we could ask. And yeah, we told Girardi basically this is the story that the Frozen Hall story is based on, and he already knew it because like obviously he's also super into H.P. Lovecraft. And I cannot tell you exactly what the name of the elder one that is seen on the cover is, but it's like, yeah, some H.P. Lovecraft creature inside the Frozen Halls, of course. Yeah, and I'm very, very satisfied with it. Like, also like, when you make an album art for an album called Frozen Halls, you have to have this blue, cold feeling in it, and I think it nailed it perfectly. Yeah.
When we talk about H.P. Lovecraft, a normal question pops up and is the following. Is there some connection, according to you, to something unknown in this album? Something mysterious?
You mean like a spiritual connection to, like, for me personally? Like, do I have a special connection to something mythical in the album? Or how do I...
Yes, okay. Yourself.
I mean, the thing that is always, like, kind of along the lines of what you said is for me like, yeah, these keyboard vibes, and when you have these atmospheric parts, and also like the solos, they just do something to me. I mean, I wrote them, but yeah, I'm not a spiritual person at all. Like, I totally respect if other people are like spiritual and have like this feeling of something, but like to me, it's like believing in Santa Claus. But what I feel and I've always felt is like this kind of mythical connection to these atmospheric music parts, and especially like melancholy as an atmosphere, or this loneliness, which is like also very prominent in the album in some parts, in the more black metal-ish atmospheric parts. Yeah, I think that's what comes closest to is like some kind of deeper spiritual connection with the music for me. Oh, and by the way, that is always very even more intense when I like listen to this kind of music and go through nature. For example, like an epic forest or whatever landscape I am in right now. Yeah, that's like a very special bond for me. Yeah.
Now let's go more forward about the development of the album. How long did it take to record this album? From development of every idea to the actual release?
I think we started writing somewhere over a year ago, I think. Matthias started writing like the first two or three songs, maybe a bit before even, I don't know. Yeah, I tried to come up with something as quick as possible, but like my mind was like at different things. So everything that I had to do in this album took me much longer than it should have. So we started the recording of the album, I don't know, like 7 months ago, I don't know. But like Mathieu was done very quickly with the drums. And because like it's all done by ourselves or by Mathieu, the recording and mixing, we had lots of time to do our stuff. And I took that a bit too seriously and waited a bit too long because I'm recording myself at home. I have my interface and laptop here, and yeah, but like I don't know. I think we wrapped the recordings. We were done like 2 months ago or something. I don't know. And yeah, but like the whole songwriting process was, I think, a bit over a year, with like talking about like revisions and writing lyrics. Yeah.
Are you playing live at the moment?
And then we have some other dates in December, which I'm not really like, I can't really recall on top of my mind. But let me see.
No,
But it's quite a few shows. So we usually have about like ranging from 2 to 6 shows per month or something. Yeah, the 8th of December we play Chaos Unity Festival in, I don't know. Man, I'm such a bad advertiser.
No problem. If you cannot tell me the dates, it's okay.
Okay, yeah, but it's like, yeah, I think that's all I can tell right now.
So that's the most important thing, is that you guys have dates and you play live. So that's what matters at the end.
Yeah, we do that.
So
yeah, and it's a lot of fun also.
What do you think is missing in today's bands to be original and stand out from the rest?
So a question that I would pose would be like, do you have to be original to be a good band? Or because I sometimes think like if you do something that has been done before, but you do it a bit in your own way and do it good, that's totally legit. But like, I don't know, what is missing for me is maybe some like room for experimentation. especially like in like the more old school metal part of the metal scene, because I personally also listen to like tons of modern metalcore, deathcore, hip hop, techno, whatever, but like still mainly metal. But sometimes I would wish like that's like the good parts that would fit into the music of metal would be more like implemented. For example, like the synth work of dark techno, or like I don't know, maybe all in all just more like genre meshing. Also like inside of metal, like there's so many bands that are just like staying one genre and like don't like to venture outside. I mean, like we are also very conservative, you could say, but like we're at least implementing black metal elements and like atmospheric stuff, and even that is not really like usual for bands of this genre. I think it's getting more, but yeah. And sometimes what I'm like missing in extreme metal in general is like the really unsettling extremeness, if you know what I mean. Like for example, like when I was starting listening to metal, everything I listened to, especially like with death metal, was always feeling a bit uncomfortable while listening to it.
Yeah.
And that is something that is like missing sometimes, because the production makes everything so clear, and
Yeah.
there is like not this like room for error, and everything sounds very like similar also in terms of the guitar sound. For example, like when one band that like really hit me from a different angle is like Vitriol. I found out about them like when they dropped their last album of Suffering and Become, I think. And that is just like exactly what I'm talking about. Like they are doing instrumental songs with blast beats and clean guitars, and like some kind of black metal attitude to like extreme technical death metal. They have like sweep picking in there, but also like the orchestration, and then this insane vocals also. And yeah, it's like they have this atmosphere that makes me uncomfortable while listening to it, while at the same time being like interesting and pleasant to listen to in some other way. Like it does something emotionally to me. And yeah, this being uncomfortable with melancholy, and the feeling of being uncomfortable added to like the melancholy of some parts. This is just like what I love about them. And you can hate them or love them, but you have to say they're doing something on their own, something that is completely different to what most extreme metal bands are doing. Or for example, like Anana Thrak, they're also a good example of like what I would like to see more, like this extreme blend of like extreme harsh vocals, grindcore vocals, and extreme melody and epicness. But that's just my taste. So
No, it's okay. You know, because every single person finds his own way or her own way to find originality. Your strong point in your sound, like I was telling before, is the keyboard in the background, which makes everything much more epic. Will you continue with this sound in the future, even with next releases?
yeah, absolutely. I think it's we all love it, and I think we will never lose like the core of our sound. But like, yeah, I think it will always be there to the same degree that it is here now. Maybe even more, maybe sometimes less, depending on the release. But it will always be there. And I don't know about the older releases, but like the songs that we have been playing, even before this album, already had lots of synths in them. So I don't see that going away. Yeah, they will stay.
Do you have a hobby outside the music, or music is your only reason of living?
Until recently, I had a lot of time because I was jobless. So I was for me, it's doing sports when I have time. Now that I'm working again, it's a bit less. But yeah, I mean, like music is basically what drives me so far. Like I've over the years, I started to develop more other interests. As I said, like sports. It always changes a bit. I was like into running quite a lot for some time. Then it was last 2 years it was weightlifting and climbing. Not climbing, but like bouldering in a gym. And yeah, recently I've gotten into a bit like home server IT stuff. It sounds quite boring, but to me it's super interesting, like server security and shit. But I'm by no means an expert in that. The other guys, I don't know, Matthias, I think his hobby is what he's doing with us, like playing live and programming the synths and recording, mixing. Yeah, I think he loves that. And also he doesn't have too much time outside of that because he's also working a lot. But yeah, but he's also gaming sometimes, I think, like playing. I think I heard him talking about the new Baldur's Gate, like RPG stuff or like Fallout. Yeah. Matthias, I don't really know. Like, I think for Matthias, like the music and also the whole stuff around it is basically his hobby. But like, I wouldn't say it is like a hobby because like we're no professionals, but we are so invested in it that it sometimes feels like a second job to us, or to me at least. And I think for Matthias, it's less a job. It's like he just loves to do it. I mean, like he also does like all the social media and like he comes up with ideas for merchandise and does all this kind of stuff. So I don't know. I think I've never asked him.
When did you decide that music is the most important thing, source in your life? What was that thing that said music is what I want to do?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, for me, I knew that, I think, for most of my life, because like as soon as I started listening to music, I was like very invested in it and always listening for music. And yeah, I think I always wanted to be a musician. Even before I was like a musician or I started learning an instrument, I was like drawing myself on stage with like fireworks on festival stages. When I was like, I think I wasn't even like 4 or 5 years old. So, and as you can expect, like as soon as I started playing guitar, that was it for me. Like I was absolutely sure that I would like do this to some degree at least. And I always, my aim was always to be like, actually become famous. I mean that is not the point anymore for me because I know like it's not that pleasant to be super famous, but like to see people respond, especially like in a live setting when you play a song that you wrote live and you see like it works and people are moshing or headbanging exactly as you expected. That's like the most rewarding thing that I can like think of in my life, I think. Especially just like this weekend we had a very good show in Hanover. It was the second show after we rehearsed for the new songs. And it's just amazing for me because like people went crazy, headbanging, moshing, everything. And that's just so satisfying. And yeah, and that is also what keeps me going personally, because sometimes when not every show is like super great, sometimes you have to, because the other guys live in Bremen and I don't, I have to always go by train, and sometimes for like 6 or 7 hours, and you go there, like not much sleep, and if the show isn't that good, then you sometimes think of yeah, okay, why am I doing this exactly? But then you have these shows like, was it yesterday? Like on Saturday, where I'm just like, okay, that's the reason, and yeah, that's what keeps me going. Yeah.
I'm a musician myself, so I understand you totally. Sometimes the music doesn't appear like you want, and this is something that happened many times. So Ed, something to finish this interview, something that you want to say to the public?
Listen to our new album, Frozen Halls. If you live in Germany or close, come to our shows and show us some love. We will show you love because we always love when people respond good and have a good time. Yeah, thanks for having the opportunity to talk about everything, and nice talking to you.
Thank you very much. And it has been, I love Germany, so it's always very good to meet German musicians. A lot of good music come from your land, man. I really have to tell you this.
Thank you very much.
The shoes.
Bye. Arrivederci.
And that's all for this episode of Death Blow Podcast. Subscribe, like and share, and click on the bell to receive more news about my channel, Spotify and Apple Podcast to listen to the audio version of every episode, and Instagram, Facebook and TikTok with more videos and contents. See you soon, guys!